Oh, I didn't even hit the
We're
branding
just
for the
here.
timer.
Boom, no
We're just here.
countdowns.
Yeah, this is what happens when you're going from meeting to meeting to meeting. And
Yeah.
like, I was on a team meeting, and usually those rarely happen at the normal time we do our streams. So it just like kind of ran right to the end, and we were using that as an opportunity to just talk about like some of the stuff we'd like to improve on process wise within the team and whatnot.
Mhm.
And it's usually those are the best times to really bring these quote unquote challenges up and like bring them to the front of the conversation, because now you've got everyone that might be thinking about the same kind of challenges as well. But anyways, I'm glad that we're finally here. Ned, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. How you doing, Marino?
I'm good. It's a Friday, and
Yeah.
Fridays are always my busiest day. I don't know why. I think I've mentioned this before, but everyone wants everything on Friday. And
Yeah.
so I'm jumping here. I got to do expenses before I go on PTO next week, because I'm on PTO next week, which is always a nice thing. Yeah. How about you? What have you been up to?
It's been a weird day because the water main next to my kid's school broke at like 10 o'clock this morning. And it didn't flood the school or anything, but in order to fix it, they had to shut off the water for the whole school. So they did an surprise early dismissal.
Oh, that's always fun.
So it was like, hey, you got to come pick up your kid in less than 2 hours.
Okay. That's always a delight. Well, I took my kid to school today, and I didn't realize that today was pajama day because everyone was wearing pajamas and he was the only one still wearing his little uniform. And I'm like, oh dang it. But he likes his uniform, so it's not a huge deal. Like, he actually doesn't like wearing pajamas anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't really force him to do something he doesn't want to do.
Yeah. I had that with my youngest. Just for the longest time didn't like participating in pajama day because she just doesn't feel like wearing pajamas to school is okay.
Oh,
and so she just doesn't. She refuses. It's not like she doesn't like pajamas, but she feels like they have a special time and location that's home at night, and going during the day is just no. That's a non-starter for her. And I'm like, I respect that. So I'm not going to force you. You do you.
That is interesting. I might have to go through that with my kids soon when he becomes more aware and very, I don't know what the word is, like rebellious, I guess, or just, I don't know, maybe that's not the right word. But anyways, whatever. We're here to do something.
Are we? Okay.
We are. I actually have a question for you though.
Yeah.
You've been doing a number of these series, and you've got a number of episodes out there that just talk about like what's going on in tech. I can't remember what the name of it is. Maybe you can remind me. I love them because they're like 10 minutes long. And
yeah,
and they're like
the daily
just to
check-in.
The point. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't done a daily check-in in like 3 years or something.
No,
but yeah,
you do another series, and you just talk about like what's going on in tech.
I have done a few of those. Yeah, nothing recently. But yeah, it sometimes goes up on my YouTube channel if there's something I'm thinking about. And it was really driven by I was doing these monthly keynote presentations for actual tech media for like their MegaCast and EcoCast. And so they would just want me to do like a quick 5 to 7 minute thing on something current in tech that related somehow to the vendors that were presenting during their webinar. And so I was doing those on a monthly basis and then kind of repurposing that for my own YouTube channel. And then they got acquired and stopped doing the keynote thing. So I kind of stopped making them, but maybe I should get back to it. I don't know.
Oh yeah. I mean, that would be cool. That'd be super cool. I'm thinking of some other series. Like you've been doing one like weekly or something outside of the live stream on M.A.I.N.
Well, yeah, there's Chaos Lever, which is...
That's it. That's probably it.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is the problem when you have too many projects and like things that you've experimented with is you're like, Yeah, I did like 6 things that were similar to that. I'm not sure which one. Chaos Lever is a weekly podcast. It has a Tech News of the Week component that comes out on Mondays, and then a longer episode that comes out on Thursdays. And me and my co-host Chris, we trade off the subject, who writes the main subject each week. So like the one that just came out this week, he wanted to dive into the very early internet and how it was designed to be a distributed, decentralized network and why. So we were like, yeah, dig into that. Turns out the main driver was it was during the Cold War and the US was worried about the threat of thermonuclear war. And so they wanted a national network that could withstand potentially a nuclear attack. And the internet, ARPANET originally, was what kind of resulted from that. Was let's build a decentralized, disaggregated network that doesn't have a single point of failure in it.
That's awesome. Okay, I got to go dig into that episode a little bit more.
It's really like he did his homework, and we found out some fun stuff along the way. Like the very early mainframes, they couldn't talk to each other because they used different protocols and networking stacks, but they built these little devices called imps that were interface message processors. And so those would sit between the various mainframes and kind of translate the networking stack of the mainframe to a common networking stack that all the imps spoke so that they could talk to each other. That became eventually gateways and routers.
My technology, my jam.
That's
Actually,
right, there you go.
I definitely need to find some time to do a stream going back to Packet Tracer and some of these older technologies like GNS3 and Dynamips to be able to just mess around with routers and switches all over again. I'll save that for another time. All Anyways, right. we have a couple of things going on here. Like we have to get back into our Lambda functions and figure out a few things.
Sure.
So I'm gonna share my screen because what we got stuck on last time was the ability to basically trigger our Lambda function. And we have this little function here that we set up last week using automation. Basically, you set this up in Terraform, right?
We did, yeah. And we used Copilot to help write the Terraform for us. Hey, Mark. Good to see you.
Well, yeah. Hey, Mark. Thanks for coming by. And hello, Akansha. Thanks for coming by again. Appreciate you.
What we got stuck on towards the end was the initial deployment included a trigger for notifying when an S3 thing, when S3 object had been added. And then we did a redeployment of the Lambda function and it was gone. And I actually figured out why. Because when it recreates the Lambda function, it also has to create the bucket notification resource
at the same time.
And that needs to be sequenced. So since we only replaced the S3, since we only replaced the Lambda function and not the trigger got overwritten. So I reran it and it re-added the trigger. So it should be in there now. It should be watching our S3 bucket. And when a new object is created, that should trigger the Lambda function to kick off.
Okay, so this is our Lambda. Okay, so this is our S3 bucket. This is our trigger, right? And this is our Lambda function here.
Yep.
So I should be able to just drag and drop a file in here,
You should be able to just throw an object in there, and that should kick off the Lambda.
Lovely, because I just made a test audio right before this call. So I'm just going to do that. I'm going to do that, right? And then I'm just going to hit upload.
Yeah. It's good and small. That's probably wise.
That's the reason why I just made a quick, 1 minute, not even a minute. So let's go take a look at our handler here. our notification handler and see if there was a trigger going on. Nothing yet. No invocations. Maybe I might just do a quick refresh. There is a trigger. I mean, is there a specific way this trigger needs to be configured?
Well, if you go back to the trigger properties,
Bucket name live on
the event
main.
is S3 object created star, so it could be anything coming from that bucket.
So this is that audio I just made. Maybe it takes a few seconds to trigger.
It should be pretty immediate, I would imagine.
Is it looking? It's looking for anything, basically, right?
Yeah, it doesn't seem to be any kind of filter around that.
Okay. That's interesting. And it wasn't even triggered once.
What's the test tab get us?
Just want to go back and so I'm just a little puzzled because something should have showed up right here, right?
I would think so, yeah.
And it is watching our live stream on main 7281. That's our bucket. That's the file I just uploaded. Upload succeeded. Interesting. Very interesting. Okay. Let's see. There isn't really a lot to go off of here. Oh, hold on a second. There was something here that came in. Oh, there it is. It takes a second to show up. Okay, so we did get a trigger.
Okay.
Looks like we did get an invocation here. So now the Lambda function ran, which would have run our code, which means if I went over to transcribe,
it's the code that we have loaded in there now, I think just writes to standard out that a new object was found in S3.
Oh, okay. Okay. So we still have to complete this.
Yeah, if you look at the code tab.
Okay, so define Lambda handler, print received okay. Bucket name, successfully processed S3 event. Okay, so we've solved half of this.
Right. So we should just make sure, because that's going to form the basis for how we retrieve information about the object in the bucket to execute the next portion of things. We should check and make sure that that actually did get written to standard out using the print. So I don't know if you can see that in the invocations.
We can go and take a look.
I think I go back to the Lambda tab.
Yes, that's right. Lambda functions. Let's go back to my function, handler service, monitor.
If you click on that log stream. Yep, looks like received. Okay. Records. Event source, region, time. Yep, bucket is right. Object key. All right. New object created in bucket. Okay, that looks great. That is, we can get both the bucket name and the object name from the event. And that's what we need to then pour into our larger function to invoke transcribe.
Okay, so now we need another function for transcribe right now.
Well, no, this function can invoke the transcribe.
The same one? Okay.
Yeah, we just need to update the code behind it to
All right, let's go
use the
back
Python
into-
that we've already written, but modify it a little bit.
All right, so, that's no good. What? Refuse to connect? That's not nice. Let's go back to... That's not good.
Uh-oh. Well, you obviously didn't lose your internet because...
Yeah, that would not be fun, but all right, let's go to our functions. Let's go to our S3 notification handler. We'll keep the name the same. We can come back and update it. So let's go back into our code. There's our Lambda function. I think I'll have to go into the... probably close some of these tabs. Yeah, I ended up buying an M4 Mini like I was telling you before this call. And part of the reason why is because I needed to... I need to sign into GitHub. That's not fun. Hold on. Let me sign on off to the side here. Okay. So I needed to pick up another little desktop-y thing because I really didn't like the idea of having to keep swapping my main work Mac with my personal Mac whenever I had to do these kinds of streams, or if I had to do anything on the same desk. And I rather get a little desktop that I could probably pair with what they call it, KVM switch.
Okay.
I mean, folks know what a KVM switch is, right?
I would think so. Keyboard, monitor, and mouse, or keyboard, video, and mouse, I guess is what KVM stands for.
And all it's really doing is allowing you to connect multiple devices or multiple computers sharing the same keyboard and mouse and monitor, of course. Okay, so here's our Python example. S3 upload. You've got this is the transcribe, right? Okay.
Transcribe is where we had it.
Okay.
And we had a defined method in there called transcribe file.
Transcribe. Okay, right here. This is it. So now I'm just going to take this block and then I guess the main as well. No, do we need the main?
No, because we're going to use the Lambda handler method that already exists. So you just need to add this additional method in. And we're going to need to import some additional stuff. So you're going to have to import, at the very least, Bodo3. I don't know everything else that was in that.
Yeah, okay. We'll do Bodo3 and JSON as well.
Yeah, JSON's definitely being used. Bodo3 is being used. I'm trying to see what else is in here.
We got a JSON in there, so I'll just remove this. Okay.
Oh, there's a time. You have to import time also.
So I'm curious, is Amazon Q hanging around here somewhere? It must be, right?
Oh, geez. You mean like the AI?
Yeah. Just in the event that we actually needed to. I guess not. No, there's no Copilot mechanism in here. Okay. Anyways, all right. So we've got our two functions in there, or methods, I should say. I think that should be good, right? Any other?
Yeah. Well, now we have to update the Lambda handler to invoke the transcribe file.
Okay, so here, Lambda handler print for Okay, instead of just returning, we just have to add another. So how would we do this?
I wouldn't put that in the return. You can put that in the for loop.
Oh,
If we
right above
wanted
it?
above the return, yeah. So in the for loop, I guess you just invoke transcribe file. Does that return anything? No. And then that needs a job name, a file URI, and a transcribe client. Oh, okay.
Because we had it last time, right?
Yeah, so that
Yep.
the way that we built the transcribe client should be in the main.
This one right here.
Yep.
Okay. So should we just stick that underneath or right above this?
I'm trying to think if I don't
Or
think
should
we
we
have to establish a client for every for loop. So maybe that client goes above the for loop.
like that? Like that, I guess. Okay. So print received S3 event, transcribe underscore client, bodo3.client transcribe. And then for records in event, we have a bucket name equals record S3 bucket name, object key record S3 print new object created. That's fine. And then,
well, we need the transcribe. Yeah, it takes the job name, the file URL, and the transcribe client. So now we have a transcribe client, which is good. We need a job to make up a job name, and the way we did that before is we created just like a random string.
that's why we use the import
Under
random
the
function.
Yeah, under the main we had like a job name variable that uses random.
Here we go. Okay. So what I'll do is let me copy this. Go back here. And then I have to import random.
Random and string.
Oh, look at that. Beautiful.
It helps. It's helping. Okay. So now we have a job name and we have our transcribe client. The last thing we need is the file URI.
Okay. Let's go back and see what you did for file URI.
Well, we have the bucket name and the object key.
We also need this one too, right? This method, summarize transcript, or we won't get there yet.
That's like eventually.
Okay. Yeah, we'll come back to this. Okay.
Let's see if we can just get it to the transcription.
So here's what I'll do. I'm going to delete this test audio. Yes. No. Delete. What? Oh, permanently delete. Permanently delete. It's checking to see if I can spell properly and read. Okay. So back here now. So we've gotten rid of the object. We've imported string, random time, bodo3.
Transcribe file does return. That does return a. What did we call it in the main? Transcription object is what we called it.
Okay, so I should probably take this as well.
That's sort of what you already have. Just we need to add because it returns a value. So in front of the transcribe file.
Transcription object equals transcribe file job name. Oh, hold on. No, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then just, delete that one. Okay. How are we creating the file URI?
Let's go back and see file URI. Media equals media file URI, file URI. And then we have this file URI up here.
We have the object URL, and we created the object URL because it was a property returned from our upload to S3. So we don't have that value in our new function. So what we need to do is find out what are the records that we get back from the event. If you look at that, we're getting the bucket name from bucket name equals. You go to the actual Lambda function. Scroll up.
Bucket name
on line
equals
11, we're getting the bucket name from the record that's returned. So it looks like it's a dictionary, and it's got S3 bucket name gets us the name, and then the object key is S3 object key. So I assume there's other properties in there that we can use to get a file URL or URI for our object. Maybe
so
that's a
Oh, go ahead.
Well, so the event records S3, I guess that would be a question to look into, maybe the SDK, to find out what values are available from the S3 event.
Maybe I should go directly to S3. Okay. Could we maybe run a list objects, and then that should give us a URI of sorts, or no?
Maybe.
No, it'll just list the object names.
Lambda S3 event attributes. I'm just searching for Lambda S3 attributes. Right. Process S3 event notification. Lambda. Okay, I found an example event. Let me throw that in the private chat. Yeah. You can pull that up.
All right, let's see. Event version, event source, AWS region, event name, response elements, schema version, configuration. Not quite seeing what we're looking for, though.
So we're going to have to construct it from the properties in here. It's not a direct property, but we have the region, we have the bucket name, and we have the key, which should be everything we need. So go to the S3 bucket and just browse to the object. Browse to any object, and I just want to see what the object URL is. So it's https:// bucket name.s3.region Yeah, so we just need to basically recreate that.
Okay, so I'm gonna just stick this at the bottom right now, and then we can come back and reuse this.
Okay.
So we have now the URL that we could use to capture it. Okay. So transcription object equals transcribe file job name, file URI transcribe client. And then we need to specify a location for this, right? This is file URI right here.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, it just goes right to the S3 bucket. We don't even have to use the URL. That's interesting.
That may work. We can try that. Okay.
Okay.
So
So hold on. Let's think about the logic for a second here. And this is just for my own understanding. So when we upload that file into S3, it should automatically trigger this Lambda function, which will go and reference this live on main 7281 bucket name. It'll reference the actual S3 object itself, and it'll construct the file URI based off of what's here and what's here. Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Now there's no so we get back the transcription object. I think what we should do after that is just add a print statement to print the transcription object result, just so we can see in the standard out that it successfully did a thing.
Okay. All right, let me just delete this. I feel
now,
like
I don't expect this to work because this Lambda does not yet have permissions to invoke transcribe.
Okay, but we'll be able to see where it fails.
Well, it should fail when it tries to invoke transcribe.
Okay, so
we would have to add a role, or add to the existing attached policy for this, the permissions to do that.
Okay, before I do that, I just want to I don't think I have to save in Lambda when I'm writing that function, I guess, right? Okay, I guess not. Permissions, allow S3 invoke. Let's call this. Wait, hold on. What? I don't think this is. I'm in the right spot. Okay, I am looking at the permissions.
Now we have a role policy that we created called S3 notification Lambda policy.
Ah, okay. Yes. And here, what we can do is just add an additional.
It's an inline policy. So if you go and look at that policy that's defined, it should, allow for S3 get object. Yeah, that's the one.
Okay.
So what we want to do is expand, or can you create
add a permission.
This is a policy, and we have it assigned to a role. We would probably want to create a separate policy for transcribe and attach it to the same role, which is called S3 notification Lambda role.
S3 or Lambda?
Transcribe.
Oh, transcribe. Okay. Transcribe.
I assume that. Yep. Transcribe.
So maybe I could just do all transcribe actions.
Yeah,
right?
we could do it all. Let's just
definitive. Tagging. Hold on. No. What does that say? Dependent permissions not selected.
I have to wonder if there's an existing like pre-built policy that already has this.
Maybe we can just double check that. So add permissions, attach policy,
Attach
maybe.
policy, and just search for transcribe. Yeah, that's probably the one.
Okay, that works. Folks, don't do this in production, please.
I mean, this one, it might be okay. Maybe. Okay, so in theory, it has permissions to invoke transcribe now. So you should be able to add that file to S3 and transcribe might kick off. Or we've gotten our code horribly wrong and it just won't work at all.
All right, so let's do this. Let's go back to my files and I will upload. Okay, there's the window. Nope, that's not how I want to do it. S3 buckets live on main. Okay. Upload. We'll give it. Okay, so it's uploaded. Let's go into our functions. Let's monitor. So it might take a second there. Do. Let's see.
All right. Did it invoke yet?
Oh, it must have done it because this was the most
recent.
recent.
I see a second invocation there. So click on the log stream for it. Is that the most recent one?
Yep.
We'll be able to tell from the log stream.
So it just created the object, but I don't think it did anything. Oh. Nothing yet.
Is that our second run or is that still our first run?
That's our second run. Based off of the time. 39.48. Okay. Yeah.
All right. Received. Yeah, so it does print the new object created. I don't know if it's still running or not. I don't think it's still running. It must have encountered an issue.
Okay, so let's go back to the notification handler.
Well, there's 3 log streams now.
But this one's from last week. This one was from this earlier in our stream. Let's click on this one.
There's one we were just looking at. Yeah.
I don't see anything at the moment. But let me go back to the notification handler. Well, it does show, but it doesn't say what happened. So there's a report, but how do we get this report?
I would think that would be in the log stream.
So it stopped there. So we did invoke the transcribe service, right? Sure.
If it got that far in the function.
So why don't we just go take a look and see if a new job was created here?
Sure.
Oh, no. Oh, hold on a second. Am I in the right region? Is the real question.
I don't know.
Okay. Well, the answer is still no. If you see here, the last time we ran this was last week, but it didn't capture any new jobs. So somewhere our Lambda function is breaking and is not continuing.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go back to the code. Let's see. You know what? There is a test button here. I'm actually curious if it would come back and... No. Hold on.
You need to supply the event JSON that it needs
Yeah.
to process.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't have the example event JSON
Hold
for it
on.
to...
What does this mean? Deploy undeployed changes. Did I not...
you know what?
Oh,
That means that you probably didn't deploy the updated code from the editor.
there we go. Huh. Okay. So now let me go back and delete this again. Delete. Where's the delete? Let me go back to the bucket. Test dot. No, that's not it. Live on main. Let's just delete this. Okay, we're getting there. See, I was wondering, like, I pressed the control save button or command save button or command S, but that doesn't seem to work.
I don't think that does anything.
Well, we tried, but yeah, okay, all right. Let's do this again.
Okay.
So let me just add this in here. Let me invoke, and then let's go into our function monitor. Let's do another refresh. Don't see the invocation yet, but that should have happened by now.
Could be being just a pokey puppy.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see what happens if it comes up. I do recall though, like the first time we did this, it took a little bit for it to invoke. So
Yeah,
which
because
is
it's a cold
interesting.
start.
Mm.
It'll run faster the second time because it's already warmed up.
You know, and on that note, like, you know, for folks wondering what is a cold start, it's basically you don't have the available compute online yet, and you're basically starting up your computer before you can actually run the function. Now, like, is there a way we can set up our functions for warm starts so it just runs?
I believe there is, but it's more expensive.
Okay, so there's our invocation. Okay, so let's go take a look and see what happened here. That still did the same thing. I didn't even continue past the report. It just, you know, new object created and that was it. got some comments in here. So we have one from Deepika. Question: Hi, both. Thank you for the videos. I have a scenario S3 bucket data transferring multiple Lambda functions due to the concurrency happening. Can you please suggest me with 30 minutes time interval? I'm not too. Are you talking about having to have a 30-minute pause between each one of those Lambda function runs? Is that what you're asking? And then can you please suggest me best solution for this? Can we use step function, or do we need to create another Lambda? What are your thoughts, Ned?
I need more information about the scenario to really
it's hard to
guess. If it's a situation where you just have a ton of objects being created, so you only want to run the Lambda every 30 minutes. I mean, you do it that via like a cron job style Lambda that just runs on a schedule instead of.
Look at that.
It. Ooh, hey, it kicked off. Did you change anything? Or were we just being impatient?
We were just being impatient.
Yes,
but
hold favorite on, kind of impatient. Why were there another thing you could do is this is firing on ours is firing on the event anytime an object is created.
It did transcribe it. Look at that.
Yes.
This is my recording. This is a quick recording just to say thank you to Ned for being an awesome co-host on these live streams that we've been doing for the last 8 weeks-ish, or 7 to 8 weeks. Yeah, that's literally what I recorded. So it worked. Wow. Okay. We're getting there.
We are getting there. So the question now becomes, do we want to also invoke Bedrock as part of this Lambda, or is that a separate Lambda? We could do it. We have it all running as part of the same function originally, so we could just incorporate that.
That would work. So I have to go back and look at that the transcribe job, right, and even the Bedrock.
So we had let's look at the summarized transcript with Bedrock is the method that we'd want to copy over.
I feel like we should maybe, like, this might take a while for us to try and figure out. And, this could be a good stopping point if you think.
Yeah, I know. I agree with that. I think we accomplished something good today, which was getting our Lambda function to A, work, and B, do something useful.
Exactly. And that's literally what we wanted to do. So I think it's really cool for the folks listening in. Like, Lambda functions are a great way to just run that short-lived code for that period of time. So you're not having to run a computer or an EC2 instance or even like a long-lived container. But what's also really cool is, even though we don't see a lot of what's going on behind the scenes, I think we also have to go in and take a look at the different pieces we're touching. I'm actually shocked why there were 3 jobs that were created. Like, what were they all doing?
It created 3 separate jobs?
Yeah. And all within a close time range. Like, this one was done at 2:45, then another at 2:46, then 2:48. So I'm wondering if there might be some sort of loop going on, or if it makes the attempt to call it and it doesn't work, and then it tries again. Like, is there like some sort of re-invocation approach here? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
But we're partially there. All right, and also next week we have a guest that's going to be joining us, right?
We do. The next week is going to be a little bit different. We're gonna take a pause on this. I'm gonna take this back to my workshop. I have some thoughts and some ideas on how to improve this. So we can table that to the side. We are going to have my co-host from Day 2 DevOps join us, Kyler Middleton. I think that's what we're doing.
That's exactly what we're doing.
She
I'm
has
looking
been
forward.
building an AI agent internally for her company, and she's been using Bedrock and maybe Python. I'm not sure what language she's been using, and it's integrated with Slack, and it's pretty cool. So she has a whole series of blog posts on what she built, and we're just going to ask her to kind of walk us through what she made and how she made it and what issues she ran into along the way. That's gonna be next week. It's gonna be a very special episode.
I know. I'm really excited because it gives us a little bit of a break from the thinking, aside from asking questions and trying to understand, how she went about building this agent.
Mhm.
But even after that, like we're kind of taking another break because we have another guest coming on, and I won't spoil the surprise there.
Yeah,
We'll let you all know
that's at the end
next
of
week.
March. So we have
Yeah,
kind of like Tyler coming on next week, and then we have another week of us doing cool things, and then we
that's
have
right. Yeah.
another
For
special
some
guest.
reason, I thought it was like right after, but no, you're right. We have a week where we have to get back onto this, and
Yeah,
then we have
like
another break with
some
someone.
ideas. I have some thoughts. So
Okay.
we'll see how it goes.
Awesome. All right.
Cool.
Well, everyone, thank you so much for joining us today. And I hope you learned something because I did. And it was really cool to just mess around inside of Lambda
Mhm.
live code right then and there and, see our function work.
Yeah, that
So
part was nice.
that
It
was really
worked.
nice. I know.
Cool.
Well, everyone, have a great weekend. Ned, have a great, excellent weekend. We will see
You
you
too.
next week. Take care,
All right,
everyone.
sounds good. Bye, everyone.